out whether that's going to be the case very soon as we go into game number 1. Alright guys, welcome to the Empire Collective Cup. This is the Platinum League, and we are here with Chris versus Lojza for game number 1. Get hyped, because I think this is going to be an absolutely fantastic set of games. I think I looked at the wrong thing. Sorry guys. I was looking in the chat at the bet options, and I said that it looks like Chris is the favorite to win, but the community, it turns out, has not voted Chris as the favorite to win. It's voted 3-1 Lojza to win, and that was my bad. It just turns out that I can't actually read. But yeah, so we did a bet, obviously, before the games get started, and a 3-1 victory to Lojza seems to be the community's choice of outcome, or the most popular choice of outcome of this set of games. Personally guys, I have to disagree. I think it's more likely to be a draw than anything, with a 2-2 tie, but we'll have to wait and see about that, because obviously we're only starting with game 1 right now. Game 1, of course, here going to be on the Empire Collective Cup Elite map pack, and this map has thrown out Acropolis this time around. So down to the south of the map in the green, we've got Chris, and he's chosen to play as the Mongols, as his hidden civilization. Up to the north of the map in the purple, we have Lojza, and he is playing as the Brits. So quite a common matchup for the Empire Collective Cup. Brits and Mongols, very popular civilization choices, and obviously things starting off here with a pretty standard Dark Age start. But I can't help but notice Chris's scout. He's already chilling around Lojza's base, probably looking for a boar. And if we have a quick look at Chris's scouting information, you can see that, you know, he's done a little bit of scouting around his own base, and he's out there looking to see what he can find over at Lojza's side of the map, and of course taking advantage of the Mongol scout cavalry increased line of sight, allowing him to see a little bit more, allowing him to scout himself very quickly, and then going out very fast to find his enemy and maybe find a boar. I'm not sure if Chris is feeling that lame today, but it seems like there won't be any boar stealing going on. Of course, if you can steal a boar as the Mongols, that's huge for many reasons. Not only is it going to disrupt your opponent's early game economy, make it awkward for them, but it's also going to give you a huge boost in food. And as the Mongols, with your 50% bonus food gather rate from hunted animals, you're going to absolutely devour that boar very quickly as well. It's worth noting, before this game started, I was just chatting to Chris while we were waiting for Lojza. Chris says he has got himself a new mouse, and he's not quite used to it yet. So I don't know if that is perhaps going to handicap Chris in this set of games, but the fact that he has a new mouse is certainly something to keep in mind here. We'll wait and see whether or not that's going to affect his gameplay or not. And to be honest with you, I don't think that's going to have too much impact. You know, it might feel a little weird at first, but I think people can get very quickly used to new things like that. To be honest, I don't think it's going to cause too many trouble for him. Maybe micro, but we'll see. But yeah, let's have a quick look at the map. Obviously, Acropolis, a very open map, but also a fairly easy map to defend. You're sitting on top of a hill. You have the attack advantage going downhill every time you stand and fight from your defensive position. So it's not too bad until, of course, you have to go down the hill and take wood. And it's interesting because Chris has built his first lumber camp down right on the front of his base, and he's built it on the bigger wood line out here. Now, obviously, that's further away. That means that if he's got to run back to his TC, he's got longer distance to cover. It's going to put these villagers a little bit more risk. However, if you have a look at Lojza's side of the map, you'll see he's actually taking the wood on the hill. So he's going to have to rebuild his lumber camp a lot sooner. It's not going to be as good of a lumber camp compared to Chris. Chris is also probably banking on the fact he's going to have a faster feudal time, so that his best form of defense will be more aggressive playstyle. Now it's interesting because Lojza here throwing up a barracks, starting to make some militia, perhaps going to try and counter that fast feudal age from Chris with a few militia and a quick early Dark Age rush. But Chris here already up to the feudal age now on 21 population, and building yet another lumber camp. This one is pretty damn ballsy, if you ask me. I mean, look at that, right the way out on the front there, on the other side of the wood line. He's got a hell of a long way to travel if he wants to get back, and that rush from Lojza will be coming in fairly soon. 2 militia out already and moving in a moment across the map once that 3rd militia comes out onto the field. The scout here grouping up with them. And Lojza, meanwhile, building a wall back at home to keep himself nice and safe up here on top of his hill. We'll see if that works out for him, but for now, that Drush coming in. Chris, of course, going to scout that, spotting that out very quickly with his scout cavalry, and of course Lojza attacking the scout as well, giving that attack notification sound. So Chris, it's going to be interesting to see what his reaction is here. He's probably going to try and quick wall it, and he should be able to pull that off, to be honest with you. A couple of walls here, and he's going to actually cover this whole area. There you go, getting that wall up just in time. And the question is there a hole? I don't think there is, otherwise Lojza's scout would have found a way through. So Lojza has to back up, he's got to go around this right hand side, and Chris making Lojza really delay his attack here by just a couple of palisades and a barracks with an archery range now coming up. Now it's interesting, usually as the Mongols you'll see a fast feudal into a scout rush, but this time around Chris going into an archery range. And that's kind of interesting for two reasons. One is that A, he's not taking... One, I suppose, he's not taking any gold, which means no archers to immediately come out, and two, skirmishes are not going to be that great in the long run, so he's going to have to get himself onto some gold fairly soon. He will make skirms to begin with, fighting now with his villagers, a couple of spearmen coming in as well, and it looks like Chris is going to come out on top in that fight, taking down both of those militia and the scout cavalry. The spearmen, of course, doing some really good work in there, both villagers getting involved and keeping themselves nice and safe. And that was a really well defended Drush from Chris. A small amount of villager idle time as they came into attack, but really not a huge loss for Chris at all there compared to what could have been. But Chris starting that skirmisher production, and Lojza meanwhile back at home is fully walled up, and it looks like we're going to see a Drush fast castle coming out from Lojza here. 4 villagers now on gold, villagers at the back taking the deer, and he's got 6 farms up as well. So pretty standard fast castle kind of build from Lojza here, and the question now is, will Chris be able to do any damage? And I think we know the answer to that already. He's making skirms, he's got no upgrades here at all, and he's not going to get through this wall. I mean, he could try and go through the TC, but he's going to take a lot of damage if he goes for that route. These villagers will just hop inside, and the skirms can take them. Skirms will be taken out. But interestingly enough, a couple of these villagers are very low on health. Like typically, players will put their low villagers on the farms, and Lojza's done just that. This villager here, very low, and I think maybe Lojza will be moving these villagers to the back so they don't die. Just 6 hits from a skirm, and this villager will be dead. She's being moved back here, you see, to the gold now. And at the back here, the weak villagers are gathering, while at the front, the stronger ones have been told to work on the farms there. So I think Lojza, nice little bit of villager micro there, keeping himself as safe as possible, whilst he gets ready to go up to the castle age with a market, an archery range, and a second archery range. Okay, where's the blacksmith? Where's the blacksmith? There it is, it's on the right side, he already has it. No problem. Lojza up to the castle age, archer production starting up right now, and you might be thinking to yourself, well, why on earth is Lojza going for archers here when he sees Chris is making skirms already? Well, first of all, Chris doesn't have many skirms. He's got 4 that Lojza can see. There might be some more being built fairly soon, but the bottom line is Chris here is not going to want to make too many skirms, because that's really going to kind of maybe slow down his castle age if he starts pumping out loads of skirms. Right now, I think Chris perhaps wants to make a few for defense and then try and get himself up to the castle age as well. You see he's doing wheelbarrow now, he's got plenty of farms up, he's still taking 4 villagers onto gold, so he shouldn't be too long before he reaches the castle age. But Lojza not going to be too scared of these skirmishes, because Britain crossbows really trump skirmishes anyway. It's almost like, you know, it's almost like skirms counter archers, but Britain crossbows counter skirmishers, because their range and with bodkin arrow is just so good that the skirms can't win. So, you know, Chris is going to get cleaned up here anyway, and for some reason Chris has just spent his time attacking the farms rather than the villagers, which is kind of interesting. Either way, castle age coming up for Lojza now, and I think once Lojza gets to the castle age, he's going to be able to make one of those really cheap castle age TCs that the Britons have, and he'll build that down on the front, maybe over here on this right side, just to secure some lovely wood. So there you go, Britain archers just gonna kill the skirms, easy peasy. Lojza can push out, and obviously Chris, well aware of what Lojza's up to, he knew it would be a fast castle when he saw the walls. Back at home, he's built a few more sort of defensive buildings here. He's built a tower in his wood line, and that's basically going to make it really difficult for Lojza to hit this wood, because towers do kill crossbows and archers very, very easily. So he's not going to have to do much trouble there at all. But his farms, villagers out here, the villagers on the gold, they could be in a bit of trouble if Lojza does come in over here. And Lojza, with a bit of nice micro, can very easily take these skirms down anyway. He's really not going to have too much of a hard time. Unless, of course, Chris has some superior micro and Lojza gets bitten by that tower. So he's going to get attacked by that and go back immediately. He really doesn't want to fight near the tower. If I was Lojza, I'd try and go around this right side, to be honest with you. And, of course, Chris still making those skirms for now. Interesting because he's playing so defensively now. And, of course, he can utilize his hill advantage up here to really help this situation. But like I say, Lojza, with that TC on the right side, pretty much the logical place to put it. He is going to throw that up right there. Going to take the wood safely, because this lumber camp here, like I was saying earlier on, is now kind of depleted. He needs some safe wood somewhere, and he doesn't want to be building, you know, a load of lumber camps up on these crappy wood lines at the top. It's much better to take it down in the middle. So there you go. Second TC is up, and at the same time, since he's playing as the Brits, he can do a lot of damage with these crossbows. He can also make a lot of crossbows while he booms his eco at the same time. That's one of the wonderful things about the Britons, and one of the most frustrating things playing against the Britons. It's got to be their range. These guys are just so long ranged, and it's going to be difficult. And I like this from Lojza. It's going to be difficult to defend, sorry. I like this from Lojza. On the right side, he's baited away these skirms, whilst on the left he sends in a kind of counter-attack here. Now, it's worth noting, Chris has 2 archery ranges. He's doing nothing but elite skirmishers right now, so he's very well aware of what it is that Lojza is doing. And since now the elite skirmisher upgrade has come in, it's going to be much harder for those for those Briton crossbows to do much damage. What I was saying about earlier, about the Briton crossbows being able to counter the normal skirmishers, is certainly true, but once the elite skirmisher upgrade comes in and bodkin arrow comes in, it does become much harder, and I think Lojza's going to want to get himself a siege workshop fairly soon. At least, well, there you go, siege workshop. Literally, as I say it. I mean, come on, this is something else right here. But yeah, the elite skirmishers certainly pose more of a threat to villagers as well. Standard skirmishers, really not a problem. Elite skirmishers with bodkin arrow, and you got a few problems on your hands here. Now, Lojza, notice this, he doesn't actually have bodkin arrow just yet. It's going to leave his archers a lot less powerful than they could be. But since he's got the siege workshop up, he can go ahead, throw out that mangonel, and try and deal with these skirms as they sort of, you know, push in towards him. But well played by Chris, I think, here. I think he, you know, responded really well to the situation, and I think he played that one very well. Once again, he's got Lojza kind of back at home, and even though Lojza seems to have a larger military right now, Chris, with his skirmishers, should be picking off a bunch of these guys, since Lojza just doesn't have bodkin arrow here, and I don't know why he's not got bodkin arrow. My guess is that because he's built 2 TCs, he's not quite got the food for it at the moment, since he doesn't have a huge amount of farms, really. Considering how many TCs he has, he doesn't have that many farms. He's got, what, how many villages on farms, right? 6 farms. That's actually not enough to keep villager production going from 2 TCs. It's only enough from 1, so Lojza's food situation not too good, and Chris going straight into the TC. He's got balls of steel today, and he might actually pick off yet another villager as well. Good play by Chris in here. He's just doing as much damage as he can, forcing Lojza's villagers to go idle, picking off the crossbows while he's at it, and he might just kill another villager as well. She is very low, but no, he's going to keep going for the crossbows, and wow, Chris is getting so much value out of these skirms right here. These guys are doing work, I tell you that. That is something else. Chris, a fantastic job, and he's killing more villagers back here. Come on, Lojza. There's just 4 elite skirmishers doing so much damage to your economy. It's like he doesn't even care. 2 villagers now down at the back, and, you know, another one probably going to go down as well here. Unbelievable stuff. What is Lojza doing? I can't help but ask the question, as he loses another villager on the left side. Meanwhile, on the front, Lojza's built himself a 3rd TC, And that is, well, that's kind of far forward, isn't it? I mean, that's probably closer to Chris's TC than his own TC right here. So his first TC, that is. Meanwhile, at the back, more villagers going to die, I imagine. Lojza's just leaving them be. I don't understand that, to be honest with you. And meanwhile, Chris throwing out a knight from a stable here, which is a really good response to the situation. Chris basically saying, alright, you've got a mangonel. I'm just going to build a single knight. I'm ready to take down your mangonel as and when. But another villager from Lojza at the back. Gonna go down. What is Lojza doing? I think he really underestimates the power of these skirmishers. Chris, he's going to kill another one. This is unbelievable. Chris right now has killed so many villagers. I mean, talk about value for money right here. Absolutely ridiculous. Come on, Lojza. I didn't expect that. He's sending more villagers out, and Chris is just getting more and more and more and more. I think this is going to be some kind of clip of the day right here, because there's another one down. How many villagers has Lojza lost back here? I don't know, but it is something ridiculous. Lojza now 54 minutes of idle time, whilst Chris is on 30, and I wish you could see kill counters on the units, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Another villager down on the gold right here, and finally, these guys are going to get cleaned up by that mangonel. And the most annoying thing about this situation for Lojza is that mangonel was sat here for a long time before moving down to the front. So meanwhile on the right side, Chris making a play, and I love this playstyle from Chris, but oh my god, Chris on the wood line, he's not noticed. Lojza comes in on the left side, and all of a sudden, all of that damage by those 4 skirmishers at the back look like nothing as Chris loses so many vills out there. But at the same time, he's taking down Lojza's TC on the right side. He's got knights in here as well. He'll take down the mangonel. He'll kill a few villagers in the process as they run away. And this is looking like a fantastic game so far as Chris does quite a lot of damage, raises that TC to the ground, and at the same time loses about 15 villagers on this wood line. Absolutely ridiculous. But I was going to say that the biggest difference in playstyle here is Chris 1 TC aggression. Lojza thinking he's back on arena, building his 3 TCs here, and he's paying the price because Chris coming in with his mangonels and his rams. I'm not really sure where those mangonels are going, but they are going to go down. Well, although at least the ram is going to go down, but he's going to try and take down yet another TC on the left side. Chris should be able to defend, but this 1 TC aggression is something else. So he's taken down a TC already, and if he continues on like this, he should be able to get another as well. Few knights coming in now, and I don't think Lojza is at all equipped to deal with the knights here. Chris has got bloodlines researched. He's got +1 defense. He can focus down the mangonel. That's the plan. And that mangonel, that is not going to get garrisoned inside of that TC. Down it goes, and that is of course going to allow Chris to push in and take down the second TC as well. Lojza now with just 7 military units. He's really got, you know, no military here to defend, and he's calling GG. What a great game from Chris. A fantastic game from Chris. I just can't get over how many villagers he killed back here. We're looking at like maybe 10 villagers killed by just 3 or 4 skirmishers. Unbelievable. Lojza, of course, nice counter-attack on the left side. He did do a lot of eco damage back, and it's worth noting at the end of that game, Lojza did still have the villager advantage. But Chris, once again, managed to defend, and, you know, considering that Chris has been on 1 TC this entire time, and Lojza went up to 3 before being quickly brought back down to 2 TCs, he didn't have that many more villagers considering the situation. At the end of that game, Chris had 20 more military units, including 3 siege, which Lojza had no answer to at all, and he knew that what was coming next was the raising of that second TC, and he would have lost all center control, would have lost all access to wood, and it would have been GG from there anyway. So he called it, and I think that was the right decision to make. But well played by Chris. A very enjoyable first game, and there you have it, guys. I thought that was fantastic. 1-0 to Chris right now, and of course now we'll go back to the game room.